Asia James is a British performer, actress, producer, and DJ. As one of the most wanted door girls in Berlin, Asia is designing the atmosphere of the club scene in the last years. Iokasti is a performer, artist, and movement trainer. They have worked at the door of many bars and parties in Berlin, where they bring their experience in awareness and underground party vibes. Hello, Asia.
Hi.
Iokasti.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Wunderbar. Fabulous, thank you.
Super.
What would you like to drink?
Prosecco. Thank you. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Aperol Spritz.
Okay.
More classy.
Cheers.
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 Our topic today is about door culture. And you are both door person. You are in the bar, and you are in many clubs and underground parties in Berlin. The first question I would like to ask you, Asia, what are the standards to pass the door? How do you make your decision?
Okay, it varies between various different things. It depends on the promoter, the night, what party it is, if it has a dress code, and who is it for. I would usually have a conversation with and ask them, what do you want for their night? And then I can base it all on that. And then I can choose who is right for the crowd, who's right for the venue, who's right for the space. So I basically have to really pick out the people that I think suit the atmospheric feeling inside. That can be difficult sometimes because you're not always going to make the choice that's going to be right. But you've got to base it on that first 30 seconds.
Is it a feeling or is it something that you can...
You can feel it, but I also think that not everybody should get a no. Sometimes the whole thing of Berlin club culture can be nervousness to go to that, not feeling that you are part of something or welcome or accepted can be a big thing that can make you feel super nervous about coming up to a venue. And I mean, in this city, it can be quite hard in clubs. There's this very almost like teacher-lecturer kind of situation going to a door. You can be going to that club for the last 15 years and you can still feel this atmospheric feeling of feeling, am I gonna get in tonight?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be welcome?
People mostly are nervous. Are they gonna get in?
It's nervousness, so you've got to read the people really well. And if you feel that there's something not quite right, maybe just open up a conversation with them. How's your night? So-and-so kind of thing. Do you know where you are tonight? Do you know the club? Do you know the party? Do you know anything about, have you been to it before?
Could you make any distinction if there's a difference between like this kind of selection standards in the bar in compared to a club?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, in the bar, you don't have the cues, which immediately lets me have a moment of discussion, I think, which is different. Like, I don't scan in 30 seconds. It's very often I make questions a bit longer.
What kind of questions?
Do you come here often? Do you know what party is tonight? How many people are you? Are you a member of the queer community? Like, a bit to understand through what they say and through their body language, because for me it's also very important, this. And then I think in comparison to clubs, here if you do a mistake, it's very visible.
You mentioned like, being nervous and you're saying like a body language. What is how you as a bouncer, as a door person could see?
I don't call myself a bouncer. I don't think I'm a bouncer. And I think that I'm more playing with the atmospheric feeling of what I want to be inside. It's like a painting. You scan it out, you know what you feel, what you want. I hate the idea of being called a bouncer because it has a lot of negative connotations to it.
Security.
Yeah, or security or things like that.
But how do you read like the body language of people?
Obviously, there's this whole thing that we don't want this cisgendered toxic masculinity inside. And sometimes that can be very present in people's aura. But for instance, example, there might be a person who's trans attracted, who might want to come to a space where they know that they can feel free to be who they are. So that could be an added entity. Obviously, the whether they are two-way over the limit, like are they going to distract? They may be so drunk and so high already that they're going to really just go ham inside, and that can destroy everything if someone is really overtaking the space by being fucked, basically.
Yeah. And when you say and you mentioned body language, what do you mean exactly?
I mean, first of all, here I think we have queer parties, but it's more thematic. Thematic, like we have dyke night, we have gay night, we have trans and non-binary night. So for me it's very important every party to have a different kind of crowd, but still somehow including the criteria next to the body language, somehow different forms of marginalization, it's a person of color, it's a diverse abled body, it's older, because somehow I feel also older people don't have a lot of access. And then after this to go to, and give examples, it's a dyke night. And dykes, or it's a queer dyke night. And I feel more often, somehow in these flinta spaces, it targets a lot cis-passing trans men or non-cis-passing trans women, or people that are questioning, and they have to have access also to these places. So me, I try more to think, okay, I conceive my queer identity as something fluid. I understand I have to put some definitions in order to create a space where people feel they belong and they are more safe, but parallel, I need to keep it more fluid in terms of not crystallizing ideas, you know. And I want to see dykes coming, for example, in different shapes, and to be open on stuff I don't know. So then sometimes, because the door is a lot this visual policy, I try to observe their body language, how they place themselves in front of me, how do they place themselves holding the door. I don't know, how there has been, sometimes they don't even believe I do it. So if the people come with this attitude of, I don't care what you say, I don't care for the people that work here, the place belongs to me, I'm like, ciao.
So you can, I mean, it sounds like a lot of mental work.
I mean, I've been doing this since I was 16. I'm now 38 years of age. So it's not so mentally draining for me to do it.
Do you prepare yourself in a specific way before going? I mean, mentally?
Mentally, I think rest is a really important thing. Rest is really important, because if you're not rested, you can be a little bit moody. You know, you can be like, oh God, I don't want to be doing this right now. And if anyone is just being a little bit agitating to you, it's like, no, kind of thing. It's like, I need that rest. I don't just read what's in front of me, I also read behind. So I might be talking to you, I'm going like that, but I'm also looking at what is happening in the back as well, because I will have a long line of people. So when you get up to me, it's like you're going to the teacher, your behavior completely switches and changes. But if I can see you from the back, and I saw what you were doing in the queue, that can also make me decide whether, because it's a long queue. And like I say, you come in the groups, I can see who was talking to who before they got there, whether that group was right, I can see that they're separated. And then I test it sometimes. I said, no, you're not coming in. And then a queue later was like, well, these were my friends. I said, I know they were. And you decided to separate out. And I'm not sure why you decided to separate out. And it's obviously you feel that those people are not right to be in the party, but you are. Okay. So maybe you should have brought them with you, because then maybe I can make a basis on you as a crowd.
How much do you give a space for discussion if someone wants to argue? What kind of language do you choose to speak to people?
First, I think I try around the language, because I feel very often people get me as very aggressive, even if I'm not, based on how I speak. I try to be who I am, but a bit articulate calmer, let's say, because sometimes people get very wrong. They get me very wrong. So what I say, I mean, it's different if I offer space for dialogue there on the door, and it's different how much space for conversation I give if you did something wrong on the bar. Like there, I will just check, it's really like a catalog of stuff. Are you a regular? Do you come here often? From who did you listen to the party? They tell me very often, I know the DJ. Who is the DJ? Questions that they are kind of fast, and I can check a bit if they know where they are going, while still leaving it open. It's a no, for example, to straight tourists, but other tourists that maybe are from the queer community, of course they are welcome. Like I try to understand what is their vibe. And sometimes I don't even need on the door because I know faces. I know the regulars. I know the people of the neighborhood that we still want to make the bar accessible and open to them, for example. Or depends for me, how old are you? What questions I'm gonna make to you? And then, but I don't leave a lot of space for conversation if it's a, if it's a no, it's a no. For me, it's a lot how they articulate also stuff. If someone says I'm open to the crowd, it's like they don't see that this night is prioritizing specific identities that you are not there. Like, somehow I check from that. But then if it's a problem, more inside the bar, no discussion. Like I just argue very clear what happened, why you have to go now. And then I try with the most non-violent way, let's say, to bring them out. Because
what's a
look,
non-violent way?
like to touch them, it would be the last one.
Yeah.
But for example, once I said to a TERF, hey, you did this, you are out of this place. And she started crying. But really like crying like a, and screaming, what will I? Like then sometimes I need some help, like of people to more bring this person that cries in front of
That
me.
brings me to this question, like who protects the door person decision?
You have to really make sure you've got a good force behind you and a respective force who respects your decision and they are standing with you as a team. It's really about having that family force at the door.
You are taking two responsibilities. One of them is like being the door person, but in the same time, there is like the safety role inside the bar.
And then one.
So you are super exposed. So who protects your decision?
I mean, first of all, I think that my colleagues from the bar, like we are all always in communication, we always check in, I always ask what is the vibe inside so we can form the night together, and they protect me in terms like they always come to support if something is happening very fast, let's say, but it's always a dialogue with them. It's not that I decide by myself, I decide through some parameters of the party, but also of how the bar is too much the crowd for them, I should not put more people in. But I would say in a way they protect me, then myself protects me, and the door. Like sometimes you have to be very fast to...
Like there is this common assumption about the door person that their selection is based on these kind of the dress code. And I want to reverse this question, and I would ask, what do you wear for your shift? Like, do you have a specific dress code for you?
We live in Berlin, so it depends on the weather. It literally depends on the weather because I don't know where you stand, but for me, I'm standing outside. So I always make sure I've got my nice, sleek-looking coat on or something like this, and a good pair of shoes and a nice accessory to go with it. I don't want to present myself in a way that is maybe, for instance, too sexualized at the door. I find that I don't want to create that relationship between me and somebody, or if somebody could say, oh, that what you're wearing is nice or something like that, but I don't want to open up that bracket of maybe what I might be like inside if I go to the party. So I try to tame that side.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to shape shift, like sometimes to present super mask, sometimes to present super hard high femme.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I present more hard high femme, it's problem. Like I get the most harassment, people coming on the door even because they don't want to go to the party.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really see the immediate shift. So what I do, I give more time for freaky makeup. Mm-hmm. But it really doesn't have a lot of like high heels and stuff you cannot wear because then you need really to be elastic with your body to face stuff.
Yeah.
We would like to think that, queerness is about breaking down all this judgment around body, around gender, around even like this class. So how this kind of choosing people from the first impression they give you within like 30 seconds, how much is that conflicts with the idea of queerness?
I mean, it has a, but I also think that there's also class in queerness. It exists in everything, in everything.
I mean, I try really what I said before also, to not assume somehow and to invite more and more openness and fluidity, because here we have really, it's about the music, but it's really around prioritizing specific nights, specific crowd. So I try to stay on it, like to understand why we need to keep these separate spaces, but still leave holes of, to be more porous in terms of, also to not keep everyone away from queers. I wouldn't be queer if I didn't have access to spaces that show me that I can be different than the heterosexual gays. Like, you know, that I feel there is still some breath inside it. But it's more tricky here because it's really specific nights. So I would say I just try to remind to myself how I experience queerness. And then I have this privilege of talking a bit. Like giving them a chance. You can be, I don't know, you can be questioning so many stuff and you can have a space here. I don't have this straight linear lies which every identity means something. And I prefer there to, you know, sometimes maybe do a mistake and then have to take the people out more than gatekeeping everyone out because now we have a Dykes night. And Dykes can be, I mean, if we see it, for example, from a more broad global door policy center of Flint and Knights, who is the one who gets the most access? White cis women. And we don't want to keep somehow feeding this.
I'm not the person who will be like, you have to be queer to be in the space. I don't do that because I'm also attracted to straight men, personally myself. That's my attraction. Can't lock people out of our world because we want to move forward in our spaces to make people understand and be part of us as well, so they can support us and they can celebrate us and they can fight for what we are fighting for out there on our own, where we don't get respect because we are fighting for our own space. But I think it's really important to have people outside of the queer spectrum to love and respect us as well. So I think it's really good to do that.
Some people, they don't want to wear specific clothes or specific dress codes, and some people they cannot, and then people, they don't have the access to it.
Yeah.
So how much is that also goes in the direction that you are talking about? I feel like so many people think that it's about the outfit, you know?
Yeah. But generally it's not always, unless it's a party.
No, I've now learned a lot that is not about it.
No, it's really not about the outfit, unless the party is basing it about the outfit.
Yeah, or to not work somehow gender and queerness only on capitalism and consumerism. To take it sometimes out. Like for me it's important. I have friends who wouldn't go in very often on the club because they look very basic somehow. But for me there is the tricky, how we can somehow shift that. It's a question for me every time I do it. But of course it's a visual policy, you check the outfits. But somehow how you dress up, it's one form of expression of your gender. There are so many other subtle ways.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
Even in fast also, even when you have to just scan, I feel you can see something to people very often.
Yeah.
How they look at you sometimes.
They know that they should be there. You sense it from them. They know where they are. They know that they should be there. They feel that they should be there, and they talk to you that they should be in that space.
Yeah.
But I really don't think it is legitimately about, like for me, I would say one of the most things is when I'm doing selection, I feel like it's kind of easy. Like the people, they know where they are, they know where they came, they read the criteria. Guest list is always complex to me because you've got the bar people, the light engineers, and all this kind of thing who just put their friend on because there's a party that they work at. And that can be the complex one because you have to really kind of decide, okay, they are on someone's guest list who works here, but do they actually fit? So sometimes I have to refuse people who are on guest lists.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess also in some parties that they are, I don't know, sex positive, thematic, whatever. When I go by myself and I do my outfit and I show all my skin and everyone is dressed up like they go to a casual bar, it drops the whole atmosphere.
Exactly.
Like we're like...
And they're the ones who are usually from the inside out. Like the people with that, they come in dressed, and I was like, oh, my friend put me on the guest list here. Did they tell you about the party? Nah, there's techno music. I don't like, for instance, like it's a gay party. They're the words I don't like. It's a gay party, or it's a fuck party, or a sex party. Those words don't go with me. If your friend has put you on the guest list, because it means that that's all they told you was those 3 things. Maybe you need to go back and go do a little bit of research on the party that you're coming into.
Yeah. Since you are on the first guest list tonight, would you like to have to drink another?
I want another
Yeah,
one, please.
one more.
See you later.
Congratulations to that.
If you have a bad mood or you are tired, but in the same time you need to do the shift and you need to like focus on all these kind of people coming and all their moods, and so it's a lot of emotional labor.
It's that you suck it in. Yeah, you really do. You absorb it because I'm very entertaining when I'm at the door. It's what gets me through. I try to be as entertaining. That's why I call it also an atmosphere designer, because I feel like I try to make it fun myself. It's almost like a performance.
You see it as this fun. You see it as a part of the job.
Yeah, I see it as part of the job. I don't believe in, like I told you, this angry idea of approaching a situation. I think that the feeling should be great from the get-go. So you absorb a lot of emotions from people coming in. I don't think I absorb that much emotions though, because I don't have that many people. Like you said, you had the crying. I've never, because I don't do crying.
Spitting, I have crying.
Oh, I've never had spitting.
I have people throwing stuff on me, but somehow I really don't absorb anything except if I see people being very violent.
How could you
with
do
each
this?
other.
Is it your, because you know you are working now?
It's my borders practice of being, yes, working, and really I stay very neutral. I also somehow try to, because I am the first person that introduced them to the party, so somehow, of course, I embody also somehow the mood, but still I keep it very, very neutral, I think, in general.
It's very interesting because, usually people think that you are the person who has the power and you just want to push the way people out or in, so you're sorting out the people. But now I'm seeing this kind of so different layers that you are talking about.
Still, you need to show them that you put a frame they have to respect, because it's so often here, because it's all glass, they come and they play their game, and I'm like, no, here you don't play your game. Here you respect that it's a place where people are working. And it's still a work. It's not for me a party. You can come and you can be only who you are, like your full potential, if it means you don't respect the people that work. And this can be to me, to my colleagues. Like, I think it's very important to show them I'm not doing fun.
Yeah.
Have you been offered a bribe, like money or?
Yes, very often.
Or like kind of, like something like.
Yes, many of times, and only once I took it.
Tell us more.
There was a guy who used to always come to the party, and he's an escort, and he said, oh yeah, my guy and his friends, business guys, want to come to the party, but they will never get in through the selection point. And I was doing guest list that night. And he said, look, they will pay to let them in. I said, look, I have to look at them first. He said, please, please, please. And I know him. So he said, look, they will give you some money. I said, I don't want money. I don't want any money. So I said, because it's you, it's 4 guys, you are going to keep an eye on them kind of thing. I know him, all this kind of thing. They went in. He came back out, one of the guys who was in the group, and he said, look, I want to thank you so much. And he was shaking my hand. And as he left, I was like, okay, he put either drugs in my hand or
in a subtle way.
Yeah, it was like a very subtle way, because I said, I'm not taking the money. I told him, I'm not taking the money.
Is there like a bad way to be a door person, like a bad door person? Do you have this idea of what could be? Because now you are talking about the different layers of how you decide. So it's not like easygoing. You are like this clothes is not fitting the fetish party, but it's like, or this person is not fitting to the. It's like more. It's much more than this.
It is a job. You've got to be professional. You wouldn't work in a place and be judgmental to anybody. And I've worked in spaces before where I've heard door people criticize, even when they've gone inside, criticize and judgmental, even though there's a crowd of people in front, about a person. I think that that's bad. You're in a space where you just let somebody in, but yet you're gonna like mimic and criticize that person, or belittle, or pick on, or make that person feel less than. And I think that that is not what we're promoting here. We're not promoting the cool kid cheerleader squad. We're promoting a business that happens to be a place where it's open to people to be able to pay to come in. For me, obviously, it's for people to pay to come in, and you don't have to make somebody feel bad about putting their hand in the pocket.
Yeah. And to not be very confrontational, I feel, on the first place, like to immediately take everything personal. I think it's very important because so often people go for you somehow, and I think this for me, I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you regret sometimes your decisions?
I think I let space for myself to do mistakes because I know I can go after and correct them in terms of I put someone in that created troubles. But no, I don't regret, I think. I always try to have this broad spectrum of who I let in, and no, I don't remember actually regretting.
Have you regretted?
No. I think I always make pretty good decisions, and whenever I actually do the selection, I always get people saying, you really selected a good crowd in there. The only thing is that if somebody will approach me and say, look, and I know them, my friend you refused, and I actually know that person,
okay, yeah.
I will change my mind then. Because if I know you personally and you've been coming to this party for the last 15 years, I respect that you are right in their decision of letting them in. So I will change my mind through that. That's the only thing.
Same this, yeah. Sometimes there are friends of here, of the people who work on the bar, and I don't know them, so they don't fit to the party, so I say no. This is the only times I change, I think.
This job is like, you are working in a job that predominantly occupied by cisgender, male, white energy. How do you feel what are the challenges to work in such a space?
I like the way predominantly most of the parties that I work at now have a group of bouncers that really phenomenally know everything about what our scene is about. So we're talking like Cocktail Buttons, Pornceptual, a few of the others. So they share these bouncers around and have them work. And they usually, this is the good thing about when those parties are, they kind of do selection sometimes because and then I have a break on that night, so it's perfect for me. But working at other parties, and one of the most biggest clubs in the city, it's a bad influx of people working there who are exactly what you say, and it can't be changed due to the fact that there's a union based inside, that so you can't really fire people, but it really puts a sour taste in the community and the nightlife and so on and so forth.
And what people expect also, I feel.
Yeah.
And this is why very often me and the other person who does the door, they don't believe we are doing the door. Like they really expect, they really expect to see the cis guy who doesn't speak a lot. I don't know. It's very specific dress, has a very specific body language. I think then it affects the crowd somehow.
Yeah. And it's weird to me sometimes, especially when we're talking about queerness. Those people have learnt what the space is to be queer. They are not queer, they weren't occupying queer space, and I think that the difference between me and you is that we partied probably here before we even did this. We were fixtures on the club scene maybe, I don't know about, before we actually, so we know people, we communicated, I was performing, you're an artist, you're in the scene, you know people, and you're the face of the community, and they're not. This is just literally a kind of, they could go to the most commercial-based club and still do exactly the same bodaggery that they do at the store, but it's just that it happens to be that our community goes to the spaces.
Where do you want to meet most of the bouncers? Martial arts. Like I feel this
That's
is
what they do.
yeah, this is
They
the
do.
space they take.
I have a friend who works at Berghain, and predominantly most of the guys and all bouncers, they go and they do this fighting with where you do all body fighting.
Yeah.
They all do
yeah, I was
this.
like, how
They
can
all
I
do
get
this.
guest list for Berghain? Go to my Thai.
Yeah.
Speaking on Berghain, I mean, since luckily enough, not every party in Berghain and not every bar is Panorama Bar. What is your tip for people who would like to come to your venues, to to the bar or to the club? Just what's your tip for them to get in? So what they need to think of? I mean, despite their assumption that their dress code would help.
Remember that not every space is for you, and you shouldn't take it personally. You may come back 6 months later and it might be a different situation. You might be welcomed in a completely different way. But I think that you've got to be open to respect the space that you're going in, respect, do your research, know where you're going to be placing your body, and be prepared to be open and have a fucking good time as well, without hurting anybody.
Yeah, I agree actually. And to be aware how much space you take, for who is the space prioritized, what means nightlife, and for me the most important, be aware it's a working place, respect and be kind. I think kindness, because I see a lot of aggression or believing it's all about me. And I think I want people also to think that it's also when they hear a no, it's not about them, it's about the party, it's about the bar, it's about the capacity. Like there are, just to be a bit more humble.
I have a method to this though, because I believe that we have some of our Berlin celebrities, nightlife celebrities, who go to every party and they occupy a lot of space, and we know them, their names, they're everywhere. And I think it's really important to understand that this is my thing. A club is when it's first bought or taken over, it's an empty vessel. There's nothing inside it. Then you put your water, your electricity, your bar, you load your bar up and everything. Then that's the beginning of the space. Then you have to occupy it with obviously a DJ. And with the DJ, you need people to be in the space. So I think that it's really interesting to mold the party around our entities that are these burning celebrities, and also not to refuse everybody, because they can also fill out these spaces. Yeah. It's like a performance art.
And the gaps.
You have the
negative space.
This story will be told because you go, oh my good God, I went to this party last night and it was out of this world, and this girl was wearing this and this with this, and they will maybe just bop in the corner with their beer, with their spliff or their beer, and then they will fill out the space. So it doesn't occupy it, because I think that also sometimes we can overly occupy it with too much of us, and the sides are empty. There's nothing happening. So I think it's really good to enforce the bodies all around the space.
I'm super happy that I invited you both. It's opened my mind that is not just like about a simple decision that is being made by a person, and then it's about yes or no. It's more about also your perspective on what these spaces should be and can be, and the potential of the spaces. And if you are like feeling kind of different, these spaces in different nights with also a different audience. So it's not just like a simple process. It's a process that you are, investing in.
So many stories to be together.
Maybe it sounds very like, simple because it's about seconds, but it sounds like it carries a lot of history that you have.
It has so much history. I mean, this city, you have art galleries, but clubs are so close to that. You go to see the Brandenburger Tor, but you also go to all the parties in the club. It's like
it's culture.
It's line in line. It's part of the fixture of what is part of the city. The freedom, and that's why a lot of us came here.
And what you can do actually in nightlife is much more stretched here, as in other places or from where I come from. It's a different scenario. And somehow to learn also to navigate inside it, I think it's very important than what we do.
How guests could participate in a better door culture?
Door culture or safer space.
Or safer space?
You don't come to the bar intoxicated, the club or the bar intoxicated or way over the limit, because I will never say no to you like this. I will say go home, get rid of it and come back. But I would say that was the main thing for me, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that they can do for me that's gonna help me to do my position. Just keep coming to the parties.
Yeah.
If it's a no, there is how many parties in the city that you can occupy?
And be aware which borders you cross, which borders you keep. I don't know, here especially because I do door, but I do bouncing too, somehow care for each other. Like so often it happens, they don't, I don't know, their friends come to me, they fall down, they're completely destroyed. For me it's important.
Yeah.
I have to find their friends so that someone cares for this person. I think it's really, we do what we do, let's care for each other at the end of it.
Be a sensible party.
Yeah, be a sensible.
Be a sensible party player.
It's not
Don't
about
jump
you.
off the slide if you know that you're not going to land on your feet.
True. Cheers.
Άντε,
Thank you for being
cheers.
here.
Άντε, μπράβο.
Cheers, cheers,
Cheers.
Thank you for being here.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Καλά, excellent.
Thank you for joining us. Ciao.